Alright, so I'm going to talk about how, in my opinion, Tem Shop undermines Undertale. Yes, that is a pun. Pun intended. Anyways, disclaimer 1. This talk has minor early spoilers. 2. This talk has nothing to do with the art or the writing of Undertale. I'm not going to criticize on the narrative context behind the things. I'm going to strictly focus on the game mechanics. 3. This talk isn't saying Undertale is a bad game, just that it has a hidden flaw in it. And what is that hidden flaw? Well, first we gotta talk about what makes Undertale work. So the core action during Undertale is in the battle mode, where you either fight or show mercy to the monsters. To overgeneralize JRPG fans, and mind you, I really mean overgeneralizing, there's a lot of nuance in this. They like the genre either because of its story or its number crunching. By number crunching, I mean figuring out what is the optimal way to set up and customize your character. Undertale argues that monsters and battle sequences is an opportunity for more storytelling, and consequently, it is often rather critical about the number crunching playstyle. So then the central conflict of Undertale is where the mercy route is going through more story and consequently more puzzle, because you're going through a lot of, you're trying to go through a dialogue tree and trying to make out what the puzzle behind making that monster click, or you get to fight them and have an easier game. But I would argue there is a third route. It's called fleeing. Just flat out not have the battle at all. So, part 2. What is the purpose of fleeing? In most turn-based JRPGs, entering a battle locks the player into battle mode. Once you're inside battle mode, you have a single menu, and you can't really get out of it without an actual menu item to do so. Fleeing, then, is a command to escape the battle sequence, and some players exploit fleeing to quickly go through the story beats. Some JRPGs have actually realized this and has added modes to allow that playstyle a little more better. I forget what it's as example, but we're going to move on. So how does JRPGs prevent players from taking this exploit? 1. Generally speaking, fleeing prevents the player from earning currency, items, and leveling up. That puts them in a significant handicap. 2. There is a chance that an opponent might successfully land hits on your party. A lot of JRPGs make it so that you're going to get hit very often as you're trying to flee. 3. Checkpoints are blocked by bosses that are often difficult to overcome without leveling up. So there is a checkpoint somewhere in the story beat where they're like, you have to fight a boss. And you're like, well, I'm not high enough level to fight against this boss. Well, tough luck. You've been fleeing way too much. You have to go battle some monsters. That is how most JRPGs deal with this issue. But point 3 does not apply in Undertale. All battles are designed with an assumption that the player doesn't level up. Otherwise, the mercy route does not make any sense. So, well, here it is. So, how does Undertale discourage fleeing? It has to get pretty creative at this, and I would argue it does a pretty darn good job. 1. Human error makes it likely that the player loses HP in battle mode even when fleeing. You'll have to check out what I mean by actually checking the trailers on how this is done, but for those who have actually played the game, you'll know exactly what I mean. 2. Number of treasure chests with recovery items are limited. Players are likely to deplete them because you're losing HP on battles. 3. Most shops do not allow the players to sell their items. By and far the most important part. You can buy as many items as you want from an item shop, but almost none of them let you sell any. And that is important because it makes it difficult to make money from fleeing, because fleeing just outright doesn't give you any money whatsoever. As a consequence, it is also very difficult to purchase more recovery items from shops. Otherwise, the game would be too easy. Notice on point 3, most shops do not allow the players to sell their item. Well then, why does the Tem Shop break Undertale? You can sell items at the Tem Shop. That is the main crux of my argument. And that really, really breaks the game horribly. It makes it very easy to bypass the fight versus mercy conflict by just taking the fleeing route. The optimal way for the number cruncher such as me to play Undertale to get the golden ending is go through the game fleeing from as many battles as possible, find and collect as many items as you can from treasure chests, especially recovery items, show mercy to boss battles that blocks progress because you can't avoid every single battle, but you know, bosses you can't flee on, but regardless, you had to go through this. And then survive until you reach the Gearson, then buy as many cloudy glasses as possible. Go find Tem Shop, sell those cloudy glasses, rinse and repeat. Stockpile on as many recovery and defensive item as possible, since you just made all those money from all those cloudy glasses, and then go through the rest of the game fleeing. So, why does this matter? 1, know what makes your game interesting. As mentioned earlier, I think Undertale does a very good job of figuring out what that conflict is, and it does a very good job of actually presenting that. 2, recognize what the exploits of your game is that helps players avoid that fun and interesting part. And 3, protect the player from ruining the fun for themselves by adding some way to block or discourage that behavior. Because in a game critical about number crunching, do not leave exploits that lets them have their cake and eat it too. That's the end of my presentation.